Imagine standing on top of the world, valued at $47 billion, being called a visionary who would redefine how humanity works. Now, imagine losing it all in 42 days. This is the story of Adam Neumann, a charismatic dreamer who convinced the world's smartest investors that he wasn't just renting office space, he was elevating human consciousness itself. WeWork became the most valuable startup in America, turning its founder into a rock star CEO who walked barefoot into board meetings and talked about becoming the world's first trillionaire. But beneath the kombucha kegs and neon signs, something was catastrophically wrong. The numbers didn't add up. The culture was toxic, and the man at the center was cashing out hundreds of millions while his company hemorrhaged money. This is how one man's delusion, combined with unprecedented amounts of cheap money and investors willing to believe anything, created one of the most spectacular corporate collapses in modern history. How did it all come crashing down so fast? Adam Neumann didn't start out wanting to revolutionize work. Born on an Israeli kibbutz in 1979, he grew up in a communal society where everything was shared. His parents divorced when he was 7, and he struggled with dyslexia so severe he didn't learn to read until 3rd grade. After serving in the Israeli Navy, Neumann moved to New York in 2001 with nothing but ambition. His first venture, baby clothes with built-in knee pads called crawlers, failed spectacularly. He was broke, sleeping on his sister's couch. Then he met Miguel McKelvey, an architect who had grown up in a commune in Oregon. Together, they saw an opportunity others missed. It was 2008. The financial crisis had decimated commercial real estate. Buildings sat empty, while freelancers and startups needed affordable workspace. They pitched a simple idea: lease entire buildings, subdivide them, and rent them out short-term to young workers who valued flexibility. They called their first venture Green Desk. It worked modestly, and they sold their stake. But Adam saw something bigger. What if workspace wasn't just about desks and Wi-Fi? What if it was about community, purpose, belonging? In 2010, WeWork was born, not as a real estate company, but as a movement. The first WeWork opened in Soho in 2010, unlike anything the corporate world had seen. Exposed brick, craft beer on tap, vintage phone booths, and a vibe that felt more like a founder's fantasy than an office. But it worked. Freelancers flooded in, desperate for community in an increasingly isolated digital world. Adam had tapped into something primal, the human need to belong. The business model seemed simple: sign long-term leases at fixed rates, renovate with trendy amenities, rent out short-term at higher prices. The margin looked incredible. But the genius was in the narrative. Adam didn't pitch real estate arbitrage. He pitched a technology company building a global community platform. He painted a vision so intoxicating that seasoned investors forgot to ask basic questions about fundamentals. By 2014, WeWork had raised over $200 million and expanded across multiple countries. Then came the game changer, Masayoshi Son of SoftBank. Armed with his $100 billion vision fund, Son met with Adam for 12 minutes and committed $4.4 billion. He encouraged Adam to grow faster, think bigger. It was rocket fuel on a dangerous fire. The money allowed expansion at a pace that defied logic. Dozens of cities simultaneously. Competitor acquisitions. Side businesses unrelated to co-working. By 2018, WeWork was valued at $47 billion, worth more than established corporations profitable for decades. Adam became a celebrity CEO, gracing magazine covers, mentioned alongside Steve Jobs and Elon Musk. He bought estates in the Hamptons and Westchester, invested in wave pools and food startups. He even trademarked We and sold it to his own company for $6 million. The audacity was breathtaking. By early 2019, WeWork seemed unstoppable. Over 800 locations across 29 countries, 500,000 members, entire generations who had never worked in traditional offices. Major corporations like IBM and Microsoft were signing massive deals. WeWork had become synonymous with the future of work itself. Adam's vision expanded beyond reason. WeLive offered co-living apartments. WeGrow was a private school teaching children to be conscious entrepreneurs from age 3. There were plans for WeBank, WeSail, even WeSleep. Critics called it mission creep. Adam called it building an ecosystem. He told investors WeWork would become the world's first trillion-dollar company. In years, not decades. The culture was intoxicating and cult-like. Company retreats felt like Burning Man festivals with Diplo DJ sets and massive parties funded by investor money. Adam delivered speeches about consciousness that made employees weep. He positioned himself as a spiritual leader, not a CEO. Employees worked 100-hour weeks because they believed they were changing the world. Behind the scenes, Adam operated with zero oversight. The board was stacked with friends who never challenged him. His wife, Rebecca, Gwyneth Paltrow's cousin, became chief brand officer despite no experience, hiring and firing based on energy. Adam smoked marijuana on private jets, drank during investor meetings, made impulsive million-dollar decisions. But none of it mattered because the valuation kept climbing. Money covered all sins, until it didn't. The warning signs were everywhere. WeWork had never been profitable, not for a single quarter. The more it grew, the more money it lost. In 2018 alone, it burned through nearly $2 billion. But Adam convinced investors this was normal for high-growth tech companies. Except WeWork wasn't really tech. It was real estate with an app, valued very differently. Journalists asked uncomfortable questions. How could a company that rented and subleased office space be worth more than real estate giants that owns their properties? Reports emerged about toxic culture, discrimination, harassment, favoritism. Women were marginalized. Adam's friends ascended to executive roles despite lacking qualifications. Then, the conflicts of interest. Adam invested in buildings and leased them back to WeWork at inflated rates, profiting from his own company's expenses. He borrowed hundreds of millions using WeWork stock as collateral. He cashed out over $700 million while telling employees their stock would be worth a fortune. By late 2018, even SoftBank's son was nervous. WeWork needed to go public to raise more capital. In August 2019, they filed their S-1 document with the SEC. That's when everything fell apart. The S-1 was supposed to be WeWork's triumph. Instead, it became their execution. Wall Street found a horror show of governance failures and financial metrics that made no sense. The company described its mission as elevating the world's consciousness. Investors looking for profit projections found spiritual manifestos. Adam had super voting shares, giving him complete control as a minority owner. The conflicts were worse than anyone knew. Adam owned the We, trademark and licensed it to his company for millions. He'd bought buildings and leased them to WeWork above market rates. His wife had bizarre hiring authority based on energy. The company paid for Adam's surf trips, claiming surfing helped him think creatively. Wall Street's reaction was brutal. The $47 billion valuation crashed, first to $30 billion, then $20, then $12. Investors backed away. Headlines like WeWork dominated business press. Stories leaked about Adam's erratic behavior, marijuana use, drinking on flights, detachment from operations. Behind closed doors, panic. The company was burning cash unsustainably and needed IPO money to survive. Without it, they'd run out within months. SoftBank, having invested over $10 billion, faced catastrophic losses. On September 17, 2019, WeWork postponed its IPO indefinitely. 6 days later, Adam Neumann was forced out as CEO, but the humiliation came with an obscene prize. Adam received $1.7 billion, including consulting fees, a credit line, and buyouts. The man who destroyed $47 billion in value walked away with nearly $2 billion. Employees who worked 100-hour weeks watched their shares become worthless, while their fired CEO got richer. The injustice was staggering. After Adam's departure, WeWork faced crisis. Mass layoffs followed. Thousands gone. Side projects like We Live and We Grow shut down immediately. Focus shifted from growth to survival. SoftBank injected billions more for majority control, bringing total investment over $18 billion. The new valuation? Under $8 billion, an 83% collapse. Then COVID-19 hit in 2020, devastating shared workspace. Companies went remote. Occupancy plummeted. The timing couldn't have been worse. But surprisingly, WeWork didn't die. Under new leadership, they restructured, renegotiated leases, closed unprofitable locations. They positioned themselves as what they really were, a flexible office provider. In October 2021, WeWork finally went public through a SPAC merger at $9 billion, a fraction of former glory. As of 2024, WeWork filed for bankruptcy protection in November 2023, restructuring debt and shedding leases. They emerged smaller, leaner, focused on sustainable operations. The cultural phenomenon is over. The parties stopped. The consciousness mission replaced by earnings calls. And Adam? He raised money for Flow, a residential real estate company focused on community-driven apartment living. Andreessen Horowitz invested $350 million at a $1 billion valuation. The man who lost $47 billion convinced another set of investors to bet hundreds of millions on his next vision. The WeWork saga isn't just about one founder's failure. It's a mirror to an entire era defined by cheap money, inflated valuations, and the belief that narrative matters more than numbers. WeWork became the poster child for everything wrong with 2010's startup culture. Unsustainable growth, governance failures, founder worship, storytelling over substance. Adam exposed how venture capital operates. With enough charisma and a compelling story, you could raise billions for a company with no path to profitability. Boards could be powerless, conflicts normalized, founders could extract hundreds of millions while companies cratered. The system allowed it because everyone was making money, until they weren't. The collapse changed investor evaluation. Terms like unit economics and path to profitability became mandatory. The growth at all costs era ended, replaced by demands for sustainable models. Corporate governance was reformed. Founder-friendly terms scrutinized more carefully. But the lasting impact is cultural. WeWork represented a generation's beliefs about work, community, and purpose. When it collapsed, it felt like betrayal for everyone who believed the vision. The cautionary tale is clear. Vision without execution is delusion. Growth without profit is a Ponzi scheme. Charisma without accountability is dangerous. Adam didn't just lose $47 billion. He lost an entire generation's trust that work could be different. WeWork proved some things never change. Math matters. Fundamentals matter. and no amount of kombucha can replace a sustainable business model. The dream died in 42 days, but the lessons will echo through Silicon Valley for decades.